Alrighty, everybody, welcome. I'm Sam Anderson, product manager here at Map My Customers. I'm excited to bring you the second of our product updates webinars. This time we're going to focus on the web application. Thanks all for being here on a Thursday morning. We're going to get started. So a little bit of background. I started as a product manager here for the web app in January. And so much has changed, both within Map My Customers and around the world. It's crazy to think that this is still the same year that we started in. So for the last 6 months, we've had a couple of themes we've been focusing on, and we've been focusing on trying to make the web application easier to use while not sacrificing any of the features that our customers have loved, but hopefully just honing in on what's made Map My Customers a good experience. So before joining the product team, I was a customer success manager, which meant that I was working with all of you users to help make sure that you could use the software in a way that helped your use case. So I learned a lot about what customers wanted, heard lots of feedback about things that needed improvement or pain points in that experience with the software, and also with the sales experience in general. So coming to this new role in January, I wanted to bring all of those customer stories with me, and that has really guided our development over the last 6 months. I'm happy to say that we've made a ton of changes that are both focused on the rep experience and the manager experience, and they've all been in response to the great feedback we've received from users like you who show up to webinars and who chat us in and who send us emails. So I'm really excited to show off these changes we've made, and I hope that there are things that you've been hoping for that you'll see or you'll hear talked about. I want to note that I'm going to say this now, and I'm going to say this in a few minutes. I'm going to continue to say this throughout the webinar. We're always looking for more feedback. So we'd love to hear it through the chat. You can email me after this meeting. I will put up my contact information. You can always hit us up at support@mapmycustomers.me. We want feedback about how we can be more successful and help you to do the same. But that brings me to a point. If you're interested in giving us some feedback about the current product or things we want to work on for the future, I'm going to open up a quick poll that will allow you to vote if you'd like to be reached out to about giving some feedback about features. So it's a simple poll, just yes or no. But if you're interested in helping us out in the future and giving us some feedback, let me know, and I'll be able to reach out to you as we want to demo new features or other exciting things that are coming in the future. I'll give just a couple of seconds here for people to click their votes. And if you're not really sure or you see something later, I'll be sharing my contact information so you can reach out to me and we can set up a call or go through some of your ideas that way. Just wait for a little bit longer for a few more votes to come in here. All right. I'll keep this poll running just for a moment longer as I see a few more votes coming through. Two themes, though, that I hope you'll notice today. I touched on, but I want to reiterate. Is I want to focus on here the changes that we've made to make it easier to get started with Map My Customer, right from the homepage through the import process. Make it easy to get started and to get your data into the platform. And the second theme is the changes that we've made to make it easier to access and see that data. So we're going to continue to work on both of these experiences, but I want to make sure that that when I came into this role, that we started from the basics to make sure that we, from day one, from the first thing the customer sees, that we improved that experience. So our agenda for the day we'll talk about first the homepage that I alluded to, and then we're going to go over some improvements to imports, as well as talking about the new list views and the custom field filtering capabilities that come with those. As well, look at a preview for the new record view that's going to be coming soon, and then we'll end today's webinar with a Q&A where I'd love to field some questions from all of you. Okay, so without further ado, the new homepage. We heard a lot from users about what was previously called the dashboard, about the things that they wanted to see or things that didn't feel right. We knew that managers wanted to see right off the bat what their team was up to that day or what had already been done at a glance. So in this homepage, we kind of categorized all of that feedback and came up with these 6 cards that I'll show off in just a moment here. And these are what we heard that users wanted to see right when they entered the application, so they could have this pertinent information immediately available. A note here, as I'm sure some people have asked in the past, we have some plans to increase the customization options to more than you see currently, as well in the future, to allow users to possibly change the layout or even maybe create a card of their own. We'll see how things go. But I'm going to jump into showing off what this dashboard looks like. I have here a demo account, and I'll just talk about a little bit some of these cards and how they can be used. First up is the Today Activity card. It's the first thing you see here on the top left side, and it's first for a reason. I spoke with a lot of managers who said what they want to see is when they log on, they want to see a list of their upcoming activities. And sales reps said the same thing across mobile and web. They want to jump on and they see, okay, what's coming up today? What do I need to make sure that I prepare for? What can I not forget? Or what follow-ups have I scheduled that I need to go through for? This card's pretty simple when you think about it, but it actually has lots of powerful capabilities here. You can click into any of these activities to see notes or more details about them, which is quite powerful. As well, if let's say you are a manager, you can actually choose the users that you'd like to see. So if I only wanted to see what, in this case, Natasha, my team member, had planned for the day, I could see that, oh, Natasha's day looks a little bit light here. Or if, this is a demo, of course, but I can say, oh, Natasha has a really full day. I want to make sure I check in with her at the end of the day to make sure things went well. You can also see what users have done, what they've completed. So if you wanted to say if let's say you were logging on at the end of the day, 8 o'clock after most of your reps have gotten home, you could say, all right, what did my reps actually accomplish today? You can see here that at 10 a.m. in my fake demo account, no one has completed anything. But that's understandable here, and that would be helpful to know as a manager if you wanted to be tracking rep activity, that, oh, I know that my reps are out there. I just had a phone call. I want to make sure that they are actually including that data when they're completing activities. As well, while it does say today, you have the option to changing the date. So you could see a specific date, what activities were done, what activities were completed, who was doing what. So this is an exciting new card that at a glance gives managers what they want to know, but with a little bit of manipulation, you can see things for a variety of different dates. That's a great first card there. Yeah, next up is a map of recently added companies. It's a card that can be used in a lot of ways, but what it does is it allows you to choose a number of companies you want to see and then shows you on the map where those have been added. So if you wanted to approach this map and say, where has my prospecting been really effective? It allows you to say, I can see that, I know I have 2 teams, my East Coast and my West Coast team, and it looks like my East Coast team has been effective recently. They've added, 10 new accounts recently. I could zoom out and say, all right, oh, but look, between my East Coast and my West Coast team, 85 new accounts have been added on the East Coast, while, West Coast has only added 9. So maybe there's an opportunity for coaching or some further investigation about what's happening in prospecting. Just like the Today's Activity card, this recently added companies card can be drilled down. So if I want to say, I want to see just what has, Nick Fury added, I can see that Nick Fury actually is a workhorse on the West Coast team. He's added 82 accounts recently on this left side. This could be used in other ways as well. If I had just gone and used the lead generation tool on the web application, and I couldn't remember, I forgot, what it was that I was looking for, I could quickly, say, I know I added 5 leads. I cannot remember what the names were. You could easily just pull up this map and say, that's right, it was this BNV home care agency that I added, or any of these other ones. By clicking on these little bursts, it'll open up a pin map, and you can just jump into that record and see that. So both of these two cards, quite simple, but really provides a lot of value for that at-a-glance view, with still allowing some drill down to be a little deeper. This next little bonus card is, again, goes to, we want to hear your feedback. We want it so bad that we put this right on the homepage. We want to make sure that we're constantly improving, and this is a reminder of that. But moving on to the deals card here, this is a card that shows a pie chart of the deals in specific funnels. So lots of teams have found it useful to have multiple funnels for different products or for different teams or for even different verticals. And so this chart will organize those deals into these funnels. So I could say in my default sales funnel, here are the deals that I have open or in the various stages. This chart, these percentages reflect the total value of the deals in that funnel. So if you notice here, we've got quite a few in this initial contact, that lead kind of stage, while we have quite a few less in that actual negotiating. So this is, again, a dollar. These percentages reflect the dollar value. You can change funnels by the dropdown to see different things. Here's the prospecting. Looks like we're doing great on prospecting. And however your team is choosing to categorize their deals, this card will adapt to that. You also, let's say though, you wanted to drill down and you're curious about a specific team or a user. Again, there is this users drop down, so I can see specific deals that are being worked on by specific users. So that provides a great insight to a manager where they could say, I'm really curious how Nick's doing selling product A this quarter. And that can provide opportunities for coaching or opportunities for praise as well. These next two, activities by rep and activities by type, they go hand in hand. But they're some of my favorites here. This activities by rep is a line chart that shows activities created by these users over a time period that you set. So whether you're interested in seeing the last 7 days, or the whole a quarter's worth of work, this will track all the users that are adding activities to Met My Customers. So here I can see that Tony Stark has done tons of work. He created 75 activities in April. Things have gotten a little bit slower as he's gone, but he's by far the leader of these teams. But I could drill down even to specific date ranges. But if I wanted to just compare, like, let's say 2 specific users, I wanted to say, let's just see Tony against Nick. I could just see 2 of those together and see, oh, you know what? Tony's been doing lots of work, but actually Nick Fury hasn't logged any activities at Met My Customers. That again allows for lots of insight to managers. And for the rep that's out there killing it every day, it's a great job to see, we always want to see that climb. But not only can you choose these date ranges and select these users, you also could choose activity types. Let's say you notice that, that's crazy. Tony has 1,000 activities in May. That seems crazy. You could, for example, remove calls and cold calls and see how that changes the narrative. That maybe Natasha only has 5 activities, but those are always 5, closing sales visits. Whereas, Pepper Potts is actually just doing lots of calls, So you're able to use those checkboxes and change to filter in or out specific activity types. But if you're more interested in seeing the types rather than the change over time, that's when this activities by type chart comes into play. If it's not as important to who's doing it, you can see here that over the last 7 days, I've got lots of lunches. It's been a pretty hungry week, I guess, and people are having lots of lunch, not as many meetings. Just as like the other charts, you could change the time period to say, but over the last 90 days, oh, there we go. That makes more sense. Lots more meetings. But I could look at this and say, you know what? We've only done 11 cold calls in 90 days. With, the COVID situation, we need to be up in that number, making sure we're getting more calls or whatever it might be. And then again, here you could select users to say, I just want to see members of this specific team. And you know what? This chart has too much going on. I want to take out, again, those phone calls. So lots of ability here to adapt these charts specifically to what you're looking for to either get all the information all at once or really drill down into the specific performance of an individual person. The final chart is, the final card here at the bottom is one that, this is the one thing from the old homepage that has actually stayed. Managers love to be able to see where reps were at that specific time. So it's the last known user location here. So we can see here that we have one sample rep in Antarctica, but the other 3 reps here are in New York City. We can track their locations specifically to see where they're doing their work. This allows you to kind of get a feel for, especially with a large spread out team across multiple regions, allows you to quickly get a feel for, okay, here's where our people are. If you have a great opportunity that pops up that's really time bounded and you want someone to be there, you can see who's closest to make that, to get there in time. So that's a quick overview of this new homepage. It's a big change, but it's our work. It's just another step in our work to display, this valuable customer data in a really actionable, user-friendly way. I'd love to answer a few questions now if you have them about the homepage. We probably have time for 2 or 3. So I'll just take those from the chat here. So if anyone has a question about this homepage, either the process of creating it or maybe what's some of the thinking around that, I'm happy to answer those. Sophie, I see your question here about pulling these activities from your CRM. Yes, if you do, if you are one of the clients, as we work towards getting integration set up, this will reflect your activities that are in your CRM. Or if there are other records from your other CRM, if you're using an external CRM, syncing those over will also populate both this recently added chart as well as the deals chart, for example, here on the homepage. Give a little more time if anyone has a question they want to ask. There'll be more time for questions throughout the webinar today, though. If something comes to your mind, go ahead and make sure to make sure in the chat to do all panelists and attendees, just so that everyone can see it. Make sure your 2 there isn't accidentally set to someone specifically. Okay, we're gonna move forward. If a question comes up to you, please feel free to drop that in the chat, or you can hold it till after, and I'm happy to answer it then. Alrighty, so going forward, next up, and a big change for us, is importing. Dealing with a spreadsheet full of data, even when it's not dirty, even if it's very clean, can still be a huge hassle, and it's a chore on any software. Importing is a complicated process. As a customer success manager, one of the main hurdles to successes was getting that valuable customer information from all the reps and all the sources into My Customers. It's hard for a variety of reasons, and I spent a lot of time helping customers import huge spreadsheets with complicated account hierarchies and these people relationships. And I learned quickly that importing was a monster, and hearing from people across other systems that it's a difficult process in a lot of places. So I found myself explaining to a lot of people, helping them understand from the inside how the software works. And not only was I helping customers do these imports, but I was also helping them prepare for imports. So that kind of shaped our direction here as we thought about the import process and kind of came up with a long-term plan for incremental improvements to this import process that's so crucial to a user journey, making sure that they have that data stored securely. So one of the first projects was kind of refactoring this user interface to complete an import. We got lots of feedback that there were too many options and there were too many choices of those too many options, and the process wasn't explained very well. So we wanted to make sure we pared everything down, that it was concise and easy to use. A note about that development process is we're constantly reprioritizing the work we do from working on our technology to the user experience, and those two are in a constant battle. It's not often that we get to work on both, but with importing, we have made lots of climbing with both the technology that we use as well as this front end user interface. But expect to see more incremental updates to importing as we continue to iterate and improve this process. But I wanted to show off here a couple of these changes that we've made to simplify while still keeping that same power. This is going to hopefully make it a more successful experience for team owners and team managers, which is an exciting feature now that team managers can now import records as well for their teams. So if we jump into what this looks like today, you can find importing from either the add menu or the manage menu. We have some customers who are doing imports of 100 records a day to 100,000 records at a time. Some do once a day, some do once ever. Some only have 3 fields and some have 30 columns. So imports are this huge experience. We've been trying to find that middle ground. This first page here is the import history. This is largely unchanged. But the exciting thing is that now if we have way less errors or warnings than ever before. This new process and the new technologies has afforded that for us, and we've been very pleased with that. As well, when there are errors, we have cleaned up our error reporting to be much more clear and actionable. So if a company name is missing, the UI will tell you, hey, on this row, this company name was missing, please try again. Or if a person had an invalid email or the file is corrupt, all of these warnings and explanation have been made much more clear. But continuing through this process, I'll just do a quick import to show off this new interface. All throughout, we've tried to make things very simple, very easy. So here it's one-step direction, just choose your file. If you'd like, you could download an instruction or sample file, which have been enhanced to have lots more explanation, as well as our support portal and knowledge base has lots of things, lots of articles to help users with this. But here for this sample import, we can just choose a file by dragging and dropping or clicking. I'll choose this file that I prepared called webinar import. Then it'll take us to this next page. And it's going to ask what I'm importing. And so I really just have 2 choices here. I'm importing companies. That's what I know. And then it's going to ask me what I want to do with that. I can add companies and I do not have a unique ID, or I can add companies and I'll assign a unique ID from my spreadsheet. It really just gives me these 2 options to make it easy. And the system is going to know based on what your previous choices have been and suggest you continue along that line. So that's an exciting change as well here. A note about unique IDs. We've previously had lots of terminology like unique ID, account number, import ID, MMC ID, and that's provided some confusion and some trouble for some users. So we've made the system adapt to if a user has imported before with some kind of account number or unique ID, the software will recognize that and continue to prompt users to do that in the future. A note about unique IDs, that's just like an account number or contact ID or whatever long string of numbers is used to keep the data separate. So for this sample import here, I'm going to choose this option, add companies, and assign a unique ID from a spreadsheet. I'll click continue here at the bottom. I can go through here and select my unique ID from my spreadsheet, my unique ID column. And then as I go along through these steps, just like the previous experience was, I get to map these different fields where I have on my column or my spreadsheet, excuse me, I have the company name. I want that to go to the map my customers field called company name. And it gives me a little preview here just to make sure that this is Joe's Crab Shack. That's the name of a company. So I can make sure I'm in the right spot. So again, where possible, Map My Customers will automatically match these for you. So if you notice, I didn't have to choose street. It just knew it was the street. And as I scroll down, I can see that this is actually pretty awesome because it's actually mapped most of this for me, making this import really fast and easy. Even my custom fields that I was planning on importing, dealer plan, for example, it automatically grabbed that and found that match for me. So then all I have to do is click finish, and that's an error that tells me that I can't do this import right now because I have two columns, 2 required custom fields on this demo account that are required but not selected. So if there is data that's necessary to be there, the system's not going to allow me to do that import. So what we'll do here for our use case, so you don't have to watch me add those 2 to the spreadsheet, is assume that this import went through. But this mapping page got a facelift as well, and there's all this new text here to guide a new user or a returning user to make sure that the process goes well. That's the new import experience. I'd love to answer any questions about it. Gustavo's in the chat as well to help us answer some support-related questions. But if there's any questions about the changes or the thinking behind that, I'd love to jump into those now. Give it just a second if anyone has a question about imports. There will be more time later. Sophie asks a great question in chat. Can this be automated? That's an excellent question. Right now, we do not have an automated import process available for all people, but that is something we've done for clients in the past, as well as it is something we're considering how to bring that to more clients in the future. Okay, if we have more questions, I will take those going forward. So next up for us is the list view and the filtering. We're constantly looking for what we're currently offering and looking to increase that coverage for what users are asking for specifically, and what users need to have in outside sales. So we know that our users can use groups to filter by the properties they've set up. We wanted to make that data that we just imported in this example much easier to be sorted and to be filtered. And as we were doing some research internally, we saw that people weren't using filtering as often as we thought they would or hoped they would. So we hoped to make that an easier experience and more reliable, while also increasing the robustness of the filters. So the list views across the web app have started to evolve. Some of you might have seen this already, but there have been lots of changes happening here. Some are changing faster than others. We know that our users spend a lot of time on the company list, so that was the one that has changed first and fastest. But other lists like the people list have followed suit, and the rest of them will be following shortly to receive both a visual update as well as a functional update to lay the groundwork for continuing future improvements. So the company and people list have moved to a separate page to be the filtering, have moved to a separate page from a separate page to be on the same page itself. And so I'll show what that looks like right now. So here is our company list here. It looks a little bit different, and I'll walk through some of these features here. Right now, we're just looking at a list of the name of our customers. I can add other fields here at the top, like you've been able to before, by clicking the Select Fields button. And I'll just for the sake of this demo, I'll just add all the fields that we have here in this account. So suddenly my list becomes much more than a list of my customers. It has all of this customer information that I've been so careful to import or record through sales visits, have all of this in one list. But right now, this list of 2,331 companies is a lot, and it's difficult to work with. So previously, filters were its own page, so I'd have to go and look at that. But we're excited to show off now that we have the filtering and sorting directly on this here. So if I wanted to, I could filter just by hovering over one of these headers and clicking on this, for example. So if I wanted to say, I just want to see my accounts that have a name that contains metal, for example. I could see here, this could be a selection of accounts that I'd be really interested in. And let's say just for ease, I wanted to sort those. I could click on this header and it suddenly sorts these alphabetically. So now if I wanted to keep these organized or I wanted to make phone calls, I could have an alphabetized list of my customers that deal with metals. So it's a really exciting way that we can narrow things down deeply. I mean, this is just one, name contains metal, but these filters are across lots of options. So I could say, I just want to go to states that, and if I can see here that I've done, some of them are typed out, some of them are spelled out. So I could do state starts with CA. So now I just have a list of the 8 companies that are metals that are in the state of California. But the more groups and filters I have, the more things that I could apply. Let's say I have this life cycle stage set. I can apply a filter here. So I just want to see in the state of California that the name contains metal and the life cycle stage is close to the end. Let's say I want, let's call this qualified in 1, for example. I can apply this and I can see, okay, these are the 2 that I have. So we can make these really, really extremely specific lists. Let's say I say, yeah, this is not what I want. I can individually remove these filters by clicking the X here. That will update this list. So now I can see all of my 1 deals in the state of California. I can clear them all at once by clicking clear filters. So that works just like that. And I can start over from the beginning and I can say, all right, let's reset my name sorting here. So we also had here, we could do lots of cross-sectioning here with these custom field filters. By those that are text, we could say, dealer plan contains something specific that we're looking for, a keyword or a name, or as we've set up specific single and multi-select options, I can choose, I just want to see my accounts that are poor building quality, for example. So lots of things happening here. You'll also notice that for more complex filters, like groups and radius, those don't pertain to a specific header. So we put those in this new filter bar on the left-hand side, where I could choose to see companies if I didn't want to go by state. Let's say I was in the tri-state area, like I am. I want to see New York City. I just want to see accounts within, let's say, 130 miles of where I currently am. I can apply that, and so I'm just going to see things in this, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area right here. This will take some time to load as it does the calculation, measuring out all these 2,000 accounts. But I can make this happen here. While this loads, I've got one already set up on this next page to show off the people list that can do the same. Here, I've set up a similar radius of, I just want to see my people that are in 100 miles of New York City that are in these 3 groups that I've set up. I have people set up into the hot leads, interested, and Excalibur groups. So now I have a list here that's drilled down real far to just see the 8 people that I have that are close to New York City that are in these specific groups. So this is exciting because this allows you to manipulate multiple filters to create a really targeted list to narrow to find those specific people, or you can uncover some information about segments here. If I said, oh, this is really interesting, I have this radius and I'm noticing that only hot leads and interested here are happening near New York City. All of my Excalibur clients are much further away. That can allow a manager or a rep to notice something interesting about their territory or a specific region. This sidebar here is a totally new thing that we're excited to show off that is here on the people list, on the company list, and it's going to come to other lists soon to bring these kind of more advanced filters. Um, and as well, a little further in the future, this sidebar will make its way to the map. So the map filtering experience will have um, the same ease of seeing the map and the filters at the same time. As well, we're excited to announce that some other new filters will also be coming up. These other advanced filtering that we're not ready to talk about now, but excited to share that some things will be happening soon in that case. I'm kind of a nerd for like these lists and the power that comes from being able to segment and sort this data in this way, because the possibilities are endless for leveraging this information to make crucial sales decisions. This is a big change for us, but I'd love to stop. Are there any questions about the list views or any of the custom field filtering or this new filter sidebar? Give it just another second here. Feel free to chat in if you have a question. All righty. Let's look forward. So some other changes we've made recently, we've updated the managed subscription page, making it easier to see, what your subscription cycle is, what how many licenses you're paying for, to add new features that way. We've made changes to the navigation in both the style as well as the organization of the navigation. We've updated our nomenclature from accounts and contacts to the more friendly companies and people. And we've made some improvements to team management. And those are just a few of the changes we've made on the front end. We've made more on the front end and lots more technology improvements. But looking forward to things that are coming, I'm excited to show off the record view preview. This is something that has already existed in the application for a little while. You can find it if you click on a record, it has this try new record view at the top. So this has been exciting. We've had this kind of hiding here for a while. Some of our curious users have found this, and we've gotten some good feedback already. But we want to make sure that with all this information that users are putting into My Customers and they're organizing, they want it to be organized in a way where they can quickly gain crucial insight that they need before walking into an account or before starting up a phone call. So when a user opens up a company from the list of the map, they want the information to be easy and accessible. Right now, you have to scroll. There's lots of fields. It kind of looks a little outdated. I mean, it kind of looks a little bit like a CRM. And so we've wanted to make this fast and more user-friendly. So we're excited to show off this new record view. What you're looking at here is not the final product, but it's something that's evolving over time as we're getting feedback from our excellent users. But so we were so excited, we wanted to put this live. We wanted to get your chance to preview this before we push this out. So a little bit of thought about the design here. There are 3 sections. We wanted to have the information organized. On the left, there are the company details in the fields. And the other data points that are important, like the custom fields. On the right, there are the relationships that this specific record, in this case a company, has with people, the deals that are associated, companies and routes as well. But in the middle is the net new, the exciting part of what work has been done with this company. At the top is this totally new feature called the recap, where you can see a graph of what activities have been done in the last 2 weeks. On this y-axis here, we have the activity type to let us know. And then here on the bottom is the dates. So I can see here that on June 25th, we had a follow-up call. On June 24th, we had a cold call, and then that resulted in a lunch appointment with this account. So I can see over time, all the touch points with this account. And this can help me as I'm going into my appointment, later this week, or as I'm thinking about what ways to make this deal progress with B&V Home Care Agency. This allows me to get that recap. As well, these notes are displayed in a much more prominent way to keep everyone up to date on what's been happening and what's important information here. So I can see here that Tony met with Jennifer. He wanted to include that her daughter just graduated from kindergarten and to bring a teddy bear. All of this pertinent information is right there, available. Don't have to scroll. It's sorted in a way that allows you to find a record, jump into it, get a quick look at what's been done recently, remind yourself of the notes if you want to get a little deeper, and then go off and make sales. And this is great for managers who want to get a temperature gauge on a key account, or salespeople, again, that want to remind themselves of work that's been done at the beginning of the year, 2 weeks ago, last quarter, at the beginning of the year, or even all the way back into, the previous year. You can see, we didn't touch this account in 2019. We've had a lot of activity in the last couple of months of 2020. So the date customization is easy. Again, lots of ability to filter out specific activity types. If you don't want to see the phone calls, you just want to see the visits. If you don't want to see the food, you just want to see the actual sales meetings. That's available to easily filter that as well. We're still putting some finishing touches on this feature, as well as adding the capability to edit and customize a little bit more. And we definitely want your feedback. So please, if you see this and you go home and you try it, or I guess we're all at home anyway. If you go and test this out on your computer, and you notice something that you think is awesome or you'd like to see, we'd love to hear your feedback on that. And I'm happy to set up a call if you'd like to talk about this. But this new company view will be coming soon to replace the old company view, as well as a similar view paradigm will be coming to the people view. And we expect soon after that activities and deals will also be getting a facelift of the same variety to make all the activity, to make the information more digestible and easier to use. So it's exciting for us. We've seen just in this webinar, we've covered, going from the home page to then putting the data in, to manipulating lists, to then drilling down into specific accounts. So there's kind of a progression here, and we're hoping to continue that same progression to make more features more robust while keeping that simplicity that we're looking for. Any questions about this new company record view, or maybe other possible record views? And now's a good time. We can open this up to general questions as well. I'm happy to answer questions about something we've shown today, other questions about the web application, or the development process we've gone through, or just my customers in general. Todd Wright asks, will we have the option to keep the current record view? That's a good question, Todd. I hadn't considered that, but I'm happy to. I'd love to sync up with you afterwards to talk about if that's something that's important. If keeping the current record view is important, I want to make sure that I talk through that with you. So no decision there has been made, but I'm happy to talk about that with you, or make a note to follow up if I don't hear from you. Will the mobile version ever look like the desktop version? Asks Steve. I'd love some more clarification there, Steve. While I wait for that, we're definitely trying to keep these two platforms aligned, but there are some decisions that are constantly being made and weighed about the differences between the mobile app and the desktop app. Mobile app, we want to make sure that we are a mobile first, rep first experience. We want to make sure that is clean, easy, and streamlined, so that reps have exactly what they need in their hands when they're out there making sales. But we recognize that the web experience is a little more broad and more focused on managers as well. So the two, we want to have this powerful functionality, but not overwhelm the app experience. So the mobile app, to answer Steve, the mobile app will. There are some features from the desktop that will never make it to the specific mobile app we have now. We want to make sure that features don't get in the way of that, clean, easy reporting and tracking that the mobile app is so good for. Sophie asks in the chat, looking for a more high-level view. It sounds like you're looking for the company's map to see all the customers all at once. So there's this map that's not sorted by anything. It's not filtered. These pin colors have been set by the team. They each mean a different thing. Black is probably lead. Red is probably a hotter lead, and the different other colors stand for different stages of the customer lifecycle. This allows someone to quickly see, I have these two teams, here how my accounts are distributed, and allows users to get visual insight there. Let me know, Sophie, if that answers your question. But the map view, it sounds like is what you're looking for. Of course, thank you for asking. Other questions from the chat? We've got some more time, and I want to make sure that we cover all the things that you're curious about or want to see more of. Is it possible to sort incomplete activities so the most current show up at the top? Sophie, quick answer to your question is yes. Todd, I've read your question. Is it possible to sort incomplete activities so the most current show up at the top of the list? This is another interesting question, Todd, that maybe we'll write this down as well to sync up with about. When you say most current, do you mean still in the future or the most recently past? There are some differences there, and I'd love to get some. Which do you mean? Either currently have to scroll the bottom to see what's being done now. I'm assuming you're talking about the activities list. If you sort by date of event, I'll just bring this over and show this off. If right now here I've gone to the plan, the activities page. Oops, not the routes page. Here on this little left sorting bar, you can choose two options from the date the activity was created or to the date of the event. This is going to show you at the top will be the events that are going to be happening there. So these are going to be events that are happening right now. So that is the sorting here that can happen here. And you can filter this list, of course, by saying, I want to see only completed, I want to only see incomplete activities, or I want to see all activities. Chris, I've seen your question in the question and answer part. It says, we are a new user to Map My Customers and have a rep who wants to know if he can scan his customer list and select to add to a route. It sounds like we got a couple of things going on here. We currently don't have a scanning feature to turn I'm guessing this is a picture, like a physical list. We currently don't have any technology to scan that list, but definitely once that's in a CSV file and that's imported in, it's very easy to take that and to make a list, or to take that list and make a route from that. It's oftentimes, it's just as easy as taking the lasso tool and drawing a circle around it there. These are all good questions. Please keep them coming. Got a few more minutes here. I'd love to use them all. Another question comes in from the Q&A. Chris Griffin says he would review his customers in the database here, then check the ones he wants to visit. Oh, so this is describing the list view, it sounds like. So the question is, can you, I'm assuming the question is here, can you take the company's list, and after this loads for us here, I'm trying to do two things at once and MMC's not liking that. But I'm assuming, Chris, your question, and I'd love the clarification here, is if you can take this, filter down, and then select these accounts and create a route from that. If that is your question, the answer right now is not yet, but that is something that we are actively working towards. We want to make sure that this feature, while it does show here, we want to make sure that this is a reliable feature that you can use. But definitely adding people to a route is our hope for the future here. Excellent question there. Any other questions? Okay. You guys have been awesome. This has been an excellent webinar. We've had some great questions. I've got some ideas that are already spinning, and I'm excited to be able to talk to you, hopefully some of you more. So up here on the screen is my contact information. Again, I'm Sam Anderson, product manager here specifically for the web application. So if you have thoughts about things we've shown off today, other things that you wish we would have talked more about, or even ideas for the future, please take down my email here. It's sam.anderson@mapmycustomers.me. I'd love to hear from you. I keep time on my calendar daily to talk to customers and understand what they're loving about the software, what they want to see more of, what they're struggling with when they're in the field or planning for the work they do in the field. I'd love to be able to talk of these to you. Chris Griffin asks if we can get a copy of the webinar. I'm going to say yes. We've had our previous webinars were recorded and hosted and posted. The same will be true. You can record this. This will be recorded, and you can watch it again, share it with people, and hopefully they'll give us feedback as well, because I want to hear from you guys. I've said it a bunch, but it's important to me that we make sure that Map My Customers is constantly evolving to be the product that you need. You can look for this webinar recording in the next couple of days. Last shout out for any other questions. If not, it's been great having you guys here. I'll be on for just another 2 minutes if any other questions come through. All right, everybody. That's about our time here. Please, you have my contact information. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for coming to our second product update webinar. It's been great having you. Hopefully you have an excellent Thursday, a good rest of your week. Please feel free to reach out. And as always, happy mapping.